Hello, welcome to Animal Audit Corner. This channel is about all the former Scientologists and all their advocates with the stories about not only but about the cult they were once in, which is Scientology. We are going to have a look into their world and find out about their former world. Here is their on growing up in polygamy. Sam and Malisa had on growing up in Scientology's Aaron Smith Levin. All three of them had insights on the control group that they were. Both shows are similar since both are about cults, but are different forms they're different from one show would be about Scientology and the other would be about polygamy, which would be in the Mormon church. Since both shows are known for being a channel on YouTube, those two programs would be the opposite of one another. Was brought up in a family that has 4 mothers and 35 children in his household. They were a part of the LDS Church. That's a polygamous group operating by Warren Jeff. He is serving a life prison sentence. He would serve life in prison. Okay. Malisa was brought up in a mainstream LDS church in Utah. Her and Sam have been married for a decade and have 2. Aaron and his twin brother was born to a single mother. His parents was never married. He also has a half brother. Aaron's mother joined the Church of Scientology when Aaron and his twin brother were 4. Both Sam and Malisa wanted to have someone to ask several questions on their show. And since Aaron was in Scientology, both of them decided to bring Aaron on their show. They wanted to have a little compare and contrast. They wanted to have something so interesting on. Now, both Sam and Malisa watched and heard so many rumors about Scientology, and Sam thought it was an interesting since it's a different cult than the one that they were in. Those two thought Scientology comparisons was so captivating when Malisa was telling some of her stories. about Mormonism. Aaron was really so excited about doing a crossover show for quite some time with other members of control groups and religions that are so controversial that it's mind-blowing, basically. Now, we all know that Scientology has a reputation of being a control group that just as controversial as Scientology. No, just as confidential, contro just as controversial as the LDS Church, with a gap between Mormonism and former Mormons, along with current Jehovah's Witnesses and former Scientologists would feel. But when a current Scientologist watches some kind of documentary about another cult, like Nexium, feel about one another's control group. Now, one cult would be a loud watch another cult. Now, one cult would be about to watch another cult documentary, but they are not allowed to watch polygamous groups that are telling stories about them. And in other words, they're allowed to watch other cult shows about other cults, but not their own. And that would be Scientology. But Scientology can watch other cult shows about other cult groups, but not Scientology, because Scientologists don't want to put two and two together. It is mind-boggling, isn't it? But all three of them agree it's always so easy to watch someone else and criticize another group. It always is. I mean, it's always easy to criticize another person than look at ourselves and criticize ourselves when we do something wrong. But when another person does it, we easily criticize them. But then it gets introduced but then it gets interesting to Sam and Melissa when Aaron told them that a Scientologist signs a billion-year contract. They are not allowed to set their own schedules. Scientology doesn't. Then once they sign their contract, they work for Scientology and they get rooms and they get room and board and would work for the organ. But when you are in the Sea Org, you are only allowed to date other Sea Org members because none of them are allowed to date high-ranking members. Then if you pay for Scientology, you would be called a public Scientologist. They would pay to do Scientology, but they don't work for Scientology, which is a huge difference. Usually it would run into thousands of dollars. But then if someone pays Scientology, they would pay to do courses. Then they get auditing and they don't, and they do it in entry level. They would do it in entry level. Usually, if someone does an entry level, which is basic courses, it would cost anywhere from 50 to $100, and it would be on how to have a better relationship. Imagine that. When you're in Scientology, I don't think there is such thing as a happy marriage. Forget it. In Scientology, there are one too many divorces. Look at Tom Cruise. He was married at least 3 times. He didn't get anything out of it. He thinks he's getting something out of Scientology, and he's not. So in Scientology, I don't think there is such thing as a happy marriage by the way I hear it. Scientology would be more like a self-help improvement, and it wouldn't be about whatever they say. Okay. All right. When L. Ron Hubbard was alive, he had claimed to be a Buddhist, but Scientologists would tell anyone that. But L. Ron Hubbard never believed in a supreme God. He even said that he never even claimed to be special, according to Aaron. He wanted everyone in Scientology to be just like him. No one wants anyone outside of Scientology to know that. Hubbard lied his entire life, who believed a lot of his own crap. He would think that all the way to his grave, in all, David Miscavige knows that into today. Now, here is on Aaron on growing up in polygamy.
There is not a push like that, and that is one of the reasons Scientology is shrinking. Because unlike the world's mainstream religions, where sure you have tithing and you have this and that, Scientology is so expensive. People oftentimes spend more than 100% of their income on Scientology. It's incredibly expensive to do Scientology. There's no incentive as a Scientologist to have 10 kids. There's no incentive. If you were a Scientologist, your kids would ever be able to do Scientology just due to the financial commitment would be for you to send them off to work full-time for the organization, so that when you work full-time for the organization, technically all the Scientology you do is free. But who wants to have 10 kids just to give them away and send them away? Like that defeats the entire reason to have a big family.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so Scientology families are small.
There's a lot of work that goes into.
And there you have it. That was his view on Scientology and huge families. He said it never happens. And all the families are always small. They're hardly ever big. But at the end, it's always going to, all the families are always going to be in a small number. He would think that all the way, well, that would be L. Ron Hubbard. He would think okay, I already said that basically. Then nevertheless, Sam and Malisa would say the same thing every cult does. And in conclusion, everything that Aaron said, several Sundays from forming, this is a part 1 here at the end. So that would do it. Listen, I know I was going to bring you Scientology and the internet, but things fell through. All of a sudden, I couldn't find this clip because it's been wiped out. And it's due because of Scientology. Because I had 33 views on that alone. And something just went wrong. Because my views just plunged in a huge number. And all of a sudden, it just didn't look like the number it's supposed, because you know what? I did the math and it was just totally bizarre. I think this time they wanted to play it by ear and think that, oh man, if we just deleted all at the same time, she's gonna know that we hacked into her computer. So this time it looked like they played it by ear, because guess what? I couldn't find that video. And it was just too bizarre. Because guess what? All the rest of them were up. I'm going to have to look again, but it was shocking that one was gone. And it had like 33 views. That was the best episode that I ever had, with Aaron being a guest on Growing Up in Polygamy. So it was just awful. So I'm bringing you that story So I just decided to just get this out of the way before doing the next story tomorrow, because I decided to just put it aside and use that tomorrow and get this out of the way, because I can't find it anywhere on my channel. It's totally gone. So I had to do this again. Thank God I had the notes. So guess what? Ugh. I think, yeah, maybe I'll tell you. I did try to report this entire incident to YouTube. Now, did it get through to them? You know what? I don't know. Because reporting it was tough. Because finding was so confusing to me because of my ADHD. But I went ahead and started looking for it. Did I hand in the report where I should handed it in? You know what? I don't know. But I'm sure gonna try and look to see if it was given a response. Now, I did ask the community about it, but it just didn't really sit right with me because there's no consequences to what they're doing. So, I do wanna absolutely try and report them again to YouTube. Because they seem to breaking all the rules and not having to suffer any consequences. That's the worst part of all this. It's just like them actually, in general, they just don't follow any laws out there outside of YouTube or outside of their organization. They just, they think they're above the law. They just don't want to follow the rules, especially the one YouTube puts on. Because every time they get pulled off the air, they get their little lawyer. And then for some reason, they get put back on. And they never have to suffer any consequences. And it's just so mind-boggling that they can just get away with it. So I did it looks like I did ask the community, but that wasn't the answers I'm looking for because I didn't think it went straight to YouTube itself. And I'm thinking, well, guess what? I don't know if I should do more of my stuff on TikTok and less of it on YouTube, or do the same amount on YouTube. I mean, do the same amount on TikTok as same amount of filming on TikTok as I do on YouTube, or maybe more. I don't know what to do. But I just wanted to actually give it to the proper channel so something can get done. These people are unbelievable. They do all these stuff and never have to suffer any consequence. All in all, if we don't get it to the proper authority, they're going to keep on doing it. And if they use their lawyers to get back on stream and YouTube doesn't do anything, well, they did. If they pulled it off the air, they put it back, and they never had to suffer any consequences in the long run. And then nevertheless, they're just going to keep on breaking the rules. And then in conclusion, everybody's going to be bewildered because they never have to suffer any consequences. So, you like my channel and you think I worked hard at it? Buy me a coffee. And I also have resources, good resources in the bottom now, because there's new information that I actually have at the comments below. Well, mine. And it's the best sources. If you're in the Cleveland area and you have mental illness and you don't have a job, go to Magnolia House. Their number, their URL is in the bottom page. Call them. Set up a schedule to take your tour. And of course, in Florida, where Aaron Smith, and it's the Clubhouse Coalition. I sent that forward to Aaron. Let's see what he's going to think. Hopefully he got it and nobody tampered with it as usual. But nevertheless, check out my information down below. It's updated. And want to buy me a coffee and you could afford it? Be my guest. But I'll understand if you can't afford it. So don't buy it if you can't afford it. But hit the like, press subscribe, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.